Hello, and welcome to our presentation on Prejudice by Alistair Dennis-Grantham, Emily Beadle, Emily Fontana, and Trevor Udekirk. Prejudice is defined as a hostile or negative attitude toward people in a distinguishable group based solely on their membership in that group. Stereotype is defined as a generalization about a group of people in which identical characteristics are assigned to virtually all members of the group, regardless of actual variation among the members. Modern racism is defined as outwardly acting on prejudice while inwardly maintaining prejudiced attitudes. In-group bias is the tendency to evaluate in-group members more positively than out-group members. And social categorization is defined as how we make sense of our world by grouping people according to characteristics such as gender, nationality, ethnicity, etc. We'll move on to racial tensions in the United States. Racial tensions in the United States, for example, when times are tough and resources are scarce, in-group members feel more threatened by members of the out-group, with the result that incidents of prejudice, discrimination, and violence towards out-group members increase. Some stats on this: 54% of Hispanic Americans and 67% of Black Americans say racism is a major problem. Racial tension is a topic of interest in social psychology, and that explicit racism is where you are outwardly racist versus implicit is where you are internally and privately racist. And this is also related to racial stereotyping, where minority groups are racialized.
So our first empirical study is on healthcare discrepancies. So it's institutionalized racism, literature, and nursing using peer-reviewed nursing articles published between 2008 and 2019. This article systematically investigated popular nursing literature and recorded how many directly referenced institutionalized racism and Black Americans' experiences in healthcare using direct racial inequality phrasing. Of all the credible nursing literature published at this time, only 29 articles were found to directly refer to institutionalized racism, as most of the focus is on interpersonal racism, which is more of an individual experience rather than the entirety of the healthcare system. Statistics show that Black Americans are more likely to die from COVID, have no access to health insurance, and to have a shortage of primary care physicians within their zip code. They are also less likely to be admitted to the emergency department and have the necessary tests ordered compared to white Americans. So the application of healthcare discrepancies, prejudice, and racial tensions in the United States. An example of this would be both Gary Fowler and Deborah Gatewood, who were refused COVID tests multiple times despite displaying symptoms of COVID-19, and they both passed away within 10 days of each other this April. So these are just two examples from a single hospital within the same month in Detroit. So the problems of healthcare discrepancies based on race relate to all three of the concepts which we have chosen to highlight. For example, stereotypes. When questioned, 73% of white medical students participating in a study in 2016 reported to have at least one false belief of biological differences in race, with many saying they believed Black people had higher pain tolerances, thicker skin, less sensitive nerve endings, and stronger immune systems. So this leads to a lot of Black Americans not having their symptoms taken as seriously as their white peers. Modern racism is shown through a lack of tests provided to Black Americans compared to white Americans, and health problems going undiagnosed or worsening, such as COVID-19 for many African Americans like Gary Fowler and Deborah Gatewood. In-group bias is also depicted through medical staff not acknowledging institutionalized racism, instead viewing it as isolated incidents that do not impact the entirety of the medical community.
Our second empirical study related to prejudice is about the racial disparities in police officers, specifically in the United States. From April 1st, 2013 to April 30th, 2014, researchers from Stanford University analyzed thousands of data points surrounding racial disparities in police officers. The researchers attached body cameras to 510 officers in the Oakland police force and analyzed traffic and pedestrian stops. There was a total of 28,119 stops recorded within the year, which shows surprising results. 60% of the stops, or approximately 17,000 stops, were African Americans, while in contrast, 13% of the stops were white people. Results show that police-citizen interactions, African American men were more likely to be stopped, handcuffed, and arrested than white men. The Stanford University police study was a great example of police brutality and racial tension in the United States, as stereotyping and social categorization both play big roles in racial tension. African Americans are stereotyped, generalized, and considered more dangerous due to the color of their skin. Additional applications of stereotyping and generalization is relevant when comparing the contrasting treatments two people of different races had from police officers for committing the same crime. A black man named George Floyd and a white man named Mark McCoy both used a $20 counterfeit bill. Though committing the same offense, both had vastly different results. Floyd lost his life while being restrained by police officers, while McCoy spent one night in jail and the charge was dropped after a 6-month probationary period. These two stories show the shocking differences between how two people of different races were treated by police officers over the same alleged offense. Thanks.